Hey, so in this video, I'm going to go over how to attract high quality patients who show up and pay in full without doing any discounts and without having time wasters or people who don't show up. So that's really going to be valuable if you're the owner of a dental clinic, an aesthetic clinics, a hair clinics, if you're a chiropractor, or if you have a clinic in the healthcare industry, in general. So I'm gonna give you the tips that we've used to scale over 200 clinics in UK and Ireland, and I'm just gonna show you exactly what has worked for us and for our clients in this video. So there's really three pillars that you need to take in consideration when it comes to attracting high-paying patients and converting them and make sure they show up. The first thing is attracting them, like how to find them, because it's one thing to attract people through Facebook and Instagram ads. Everybody can put an ad out there, but how do you find the people that actually have the money, that have a high income and that are actually interested? Because a lot of the time people are not really interested. So we came up with some solution to make sure we attract those high earners that can afford your treatments, and I'm going to show you that in this video. Then the second thing is how to convert them. You need a system in place to consistently follow up with them in a good way. Most people only reach out to leads, via SMS or call. We reach out to people via 6 different platforms. I'm going to show you why that's crucial. Otherwise, you're going to leave a ton of money on the table. And as far as show ups, we have some kind of techniques as well to make sure we minimize them, to make sure everybody shows up and they don't waste some time in your diary, which is a huge pain point for our clients usually. So the first thing that I want to go over is the ad quality. The ad quality is really the foundation of who you're going to attract. Think of it. If you're going to advertise on Facebook and Instagram, which is the number one platform we use for advertising, you could also do TikTok, Google, and so on. But that's kind of like the main platform that we specifically use. The quality of your ad dictates the quality of the people that you bring in. So for us, we have an in-house videographer that come to our client's clinic and that actually record footage for you. Because if you are going to show and do like the same ads made by AI that everybody else does, you're going to attract the type of client that everybody has, and that's where things are going to get complicated, because they're going to then like try to bargain, trying to get your cheapest price possible. They're going to tell you they can't afford it, and that's exactly what you want to eliminate. So the quality of your ads is very important. Make sure it reflects your branding. Make sure it also catchy and it triggers people. Don't make it boring. You may have seen some of our ads. If you're watching this video, you probably saw one of our ads, and most likely it triggered something inside of you. It wasn't boring. So bold marketing and like premium marketing is going to help you. Now, not to say this is absolutely mandatory. Some of our clients, they don't want the videographer and they already have content. So if you already have content, we can also create ads, of what you already have. But the quality is very important. And then you also have to focus on the right treatment. So it doesn't matter if you're dental clinic, aesthetic, hair clinic, whatever clinics you're in, if you offer multiple treatments, you have to find the ones that are trendy, because in every single city, in every single area, there's always going to be treatments that are more trendy than others. And the thing is, we have data. We've worked with over 200 clinics in the UK and Ireland, so we know what's working and when and at what price point. So if, by example, it's summer, there's treatments that are most likely to bring people in during summer. We know that historically, and we've worked with the clinics in major cities in the UK, so we're able to see what your competitors are doing, because we work with such a large amount of clinics, and we can pick and choose what treatments most likely to bring revenue. So you got to find the treatment that brings the most revenue in, and the treatment that are the most trendy. For example, like we work with a lot of aesthetic clinics, and right now one thing that's working really well is like this endo laser treatment. Instead of being like 3 or 4 sessions, so like most other treatment, it's only one session and you get incredible results from it. and that's a trendy treatment. So we push it to all of our clients. If you are a dentist, it might be, Invisalign that's working well at the moment. So it depends on who you are, where you are, but understanding what you need to advertise in the first place is very important. Um, so your location also matters a lot. We've seen it time and time again. A clinic offer amazing services, but they're like in the middle of nowhere, and there's literally not enough people in that area. And then they moved on to another location, a bigger, more expensive postcode, and they're able to attract higher quality people. So your location matters, and that's obviously the thing that's the most difficult to change. And you can also attract, depending on like what you do, you can find ways to attract people from other areas. That's something that we do, but your location when it comes to attracting people with money is going to matter a lot. And it's also important that you have enough availabilities in your calendar, because in the end, especially when it comes to making sure people show up, we've had it before where our clients, they have like this full diary, and the problem is we have to book people like 1, 2, 3 weeks in advance. And when that's the case, even if you got someone who's really interested, that sometimes is enough for them to kind of like lose interest and just go somewhere else. So that's some of the things that we found in order to attract high quality people. But now once you attract these people, you also need to convert. You also need to make sure that they end up paying you money. So some of the other things I should mention is that you also want to have a strong online presence. That's something that's really a non-negotiable. I understand that everybody's at a different stage, but if you don't have like a website, if you don't have like Google reviews, if you don't have like some active social media page, when you come to cold advertising on platform like Meta, you are going to shoot yourself on the foot, because people want to see what you do. Most likely they click on an ad, and then if you get if you have someone calling the leads like we do for our clients, they're usually gonna, by the time you call them, they're actually gonna check you out. And if they didn't like what they saw, if they didn't see like photos of your clinic or like testimonials or things like that, that's going to be a limiting factor that's going to hold you back. And that's something we can help you do as well for our clients. If you don't have a strong website, a strong social media presence, we can help you do Google review campaigns. We send like mass messages to all the previous leads you generated and get some Google reviews. We can also help you get like a really high quality premium website. We can help you, with your social media presence on Instagram, post content. So that's the thing that's very important. Another thing that's very important is not to lead with discounts. So I see that all the time. You go on the Facebook ad library where you can see all the ads of your competitors. If you see what a lot of people do, they will lead with the offer and say, like 50% off or whatever that might be, And although I'm not against getting some sort of an incentive, to get people in, that's something that we do. But the problem is that a lot of people lead with it, and they just literally, that's the first thing you see in the ad, and that tends to attract bargain seekers. A lot of people end up booking or just click on the ad just for that. And then what happens is now the algorithm of Facebook and Instagram is so good that whenever someone clicks on an ad and is not qualified, it's going to optimize to find more people like that. So you really want to filter out these people as much as humanly possible, because whenever someone is going to respond to your ad, Facebook interpret this as, oh, okay, someone responded, so now I need to find more people like that. So if you have a discount, naturally all the people that are into discounts are going to click on it, and then what's going to happen is that Facebook is going to find more discount and bargain hunters, and that's going to be like a spiral where the more you spend on ads, the more bargain hunter you have. So how do you fix this? It's simple. You do not put the price on the ad or like the discount. If you want, you can even put the name of the the price of the full price of your treatment, on the ad. It depends. There's some instances where it makes sense to do that. There's some other instances where it doesn't make sense to do that. So it's kind of like really depends. What we personally found works best is not to put the price on the ad, or even worse, the discount, but to put it on the form. So when people see an ad, Then they get redirected to a lead form with a phone number for them to put their phone number, email, and full name. And then we tell them the price at this point, so that way they don't submit their details unless they know the price, if that makes sense. And one other thing we like to do is not just ask them 3 questions. A lot of people, what they do, they only ask email, phone number, and full name. The problem with that is that it's very easy for everyone to put that. A lot of people put fake numbers and they just click on next, and then before you know, you got a lead. They barely know what you offer. They tell you, hey, I don't remember you, or call me back, or I'm not interested. And again, that Facebook, if you do that, Facebook is going to optimize to find more people like that because the algorithm is so good. So you need to qualify people further on the ads. You need to put some sort of qualification question. And again, it depends what you advertise. It depends on the price point. It depends on a lot of things. But what we found works well is to add a couple, 2 or 3 extra questions to ask them, the reason why they're interested in that treatment, or something like, what they've tried in the past, or if that's going to be a skin treatment, by example, like what skin concern they had. If that's a dental implant, you can ask something else, so like ask to learn a bit more about them, and then that's going to increase the lead quality, that's going to increase their intent, and then Facebook is going to optimize to find more people like that with higher intent and obviously higher income because you've put the price on the form. So now the people that submit the form most likely have a higher income because they saw the price, they're comfortable with it, and they also they're more interested because they fill out the question, and Facebook will optimize to find more people like that. Now, when it comes to conversion, it's one thing to have the lead, but I see a lot of clinics, they waste a ton of money because they don't have the proper follow-up system. So usually what happens is that, they generate the leads. Someone from their team is going to make the calls, maybe 2-3 hours later, if not like 1 day later, which is a total waste of money. Call them once, twice, and then they kind of give up. And if they work with an agency, usually what happens is either the agency only doesn't call the leads, so they leave that burden onto you, and obviously you're not a salesperson, so you don't exactly know what to do and you don't have time to do it. Or they're gonna like call the leads. The marketing agency may also have a call center like we do, and what happens is that the problem is that they don't follow a good system to convert those leads. So it's either they give you the burden or they just don't do it properly. So here are the things you need to have in place, whether you work with a marketing agency or you do that in-house, in order to convert leads. The biggest thing is you need to have more conversation with people, because you may generate like 5 leads a day, 10 leads a day, great, amazing, even 20 or 30 if you're at scale. The thing is, you gotta generating, let's say 20 leads a day doesn't mean you're going to speak to 20 people a day. So what we need to do is to speak to more people, and the only way you can do that is by getting a hold of them fast. So we have a 90-second rule where we try to get a hold of people within 90 seconds. We have this software where basically our team can see every new inquiries, and they kind of as soon as they see a notification, they just kind of they're trained to kind of respond to the person in the fastest way possible. There are studies that say that if you don't follow up with the leads, if it takes you more than 5 minutes to respond to those leads, your chances to convert them are gonna diminish drastically, and that's what we found. So 90 seconds, if you or your team or the agency you work with is not able to meet that, you're wasting money. And obviously not all of the time you're going to be able to reach out to leads within 90 seconds, because obviously there's weekends, there's times where leads come in outside of working hours. So I understand, but that's going to be the biggest lever you can pull in order for you to convert more. You need to also hire great setters that are not just customer support type of appointment setters, but are more like sales and that understand the treatment you're trying to promote, and that also understand sales psychology, and that obviously can represent your clinic in a good way. The reason why our clients are getting great results is because us setters are not only very good at sales, we train them a lot on your treatments, and you also have 24 access to them, 24 hours access to them. So we put you on a like in a messaging platform called Slack, and you get to speak with them. So if you can listen to their call, full transparency, you have access to our CRM, and you can see if they say something. If they say you have 10 years of experience when you have actually 15, you can listen to that and you can tell them, look, you've got this wrong. So they're kind of like part of your team. In most agencies, they're gonna have this generic call center where there's gonna be like 10 people calling for your clinic, and you don't get to have this one-on-one contact with them. So for us, we kind of assign 2 setters to your clinic, so that way you have this one-on-one contact and you can train them. It's like they're part of your team and you can really speak to them, and that makes the biggest difference, because now they make less mistake. They can represent your clinic in a bit better way. They understand the ins and outs. Like, do you offer financing? Do you have parking available? Where are you located exactly? What other treatments do you have? These specific questions, they know all the answers, because again, like, we train them on your clinic. It's not a generic call center like most marketing agencies do. And that makes a big difference. So yeah, the appointment setter is very important, and also you need to have a clear USP. So USP means unique selling points. For you to compete, in your market, if you're a dental clinic, hair transplant clinic, aesthetic, or you offer like your telemedicine clinic, chiropractor, you name it, you have competitors, and you need to find what is your USP, unique selling points. Is it that you offer better, the products that you use is better? Is it that you have been in business for longer, you have more trust in the market? Is it that perhaps you're just more competitive in terms of pricing? What is it? Maybe your qualifications are better, or maybe you use that specific technique that nobody else uses. But you need to find that and to advertise that. Put that in bold in your ad, and because in the end, when you get to speak with people, a lot of the time people are price shoppers. They want the best deal. They want not necessarily the best deal, but the best value for their money. Even people with money, rich people, still they don't want to get scammed. So if you don't know what's the value proposition that you offer, you need to figure that out. And that's something we help our client do as well on the onboarding call. We just make you fill out an onboarding form to kind of figure out where you're at, and then we kind of put together like pitch deck for like appointment setters, so they exactly know what to say and how. Once people say there's this other competitor here, like, we know exactly what to say because we know what makes you stand out. So that's very important. Even us as a marketing agency, like everything that I'm doing right now, I'm trying to show you how different we are from other marketing agencies, so they can work with us instead of another agency. And that's what you need to do as well for your clinic. Now, as far as all the things you need to do in order to convert the leads, you need to follow up across more platforms. What I see time and time again, marketing agencies or clinics, what they do is they only do SMSs. That's the worst. Like SMSs, like nobody uses SMSs these days. Only spams, or they just call, but call also get into spam. Anybody below 30-year-old tend not to answer call. I personally, I'm 30 and I just don't I don't answer any call personally, unless it's like really a number I know. So it still works, don't get me wrong, because we get a lot of the people that we book via call. So I'm not saying it does not work. I'm saying if you only rely on SMS and calls, as most people do, you are leaving money on the table. What you need to use instead, if you are in the UK or in Ireland, you need to use WhatsApp. If you don't use WhatsApp, you are living in the 1980s. You have to live with your time. WhatsApp is how people like to speak to people, and that's really, like what's going to get you to speak to more people. And now you also need to use email, Facebook, and Instagram. because a lot of people, like, they're going to contact you via these platforms. So the more the more active you are on all these platforms, the better. And if you work with us, we actually have our appointment setters, they have access to everything: your Instagram, your Facebook. We answer messages there, um, and we follow up with people via email as well. So, like, even if they get cold, we still keep warming them up, by sending them email, so they remember you, and at some point they might buy from you. But yeah, you have to be sending, messages to lead through all these platforms. And I just see people don't not do that, and that kind of, is not very efficient. Also, what you need to do is, you need to take prepayment over the phone, and that's going to depend on what you're selling. So I'm saying, like, if you're a hair transplant clinic, you may not going to do that, because maybe we're going to set up a video consultation first, and we're not going to, it does not make sense for us to take money over the phone for that. So, but if you're an aesthetic clinic, yes, we can take money over the phone, and you should. Otherwise, people are going to waste your time. It also depends on your area, which area you're in. Is it like going to be £25, £50, £100? It depends on what you do. But for like any local business, we found taking deposit over the phone is really important. And if you're going to, target like bigger, not just one city, but a bigger area, and you do video consultations, then it might not make sense. But one thing you can do is still take card on file, something that we've done before. If you're going to do a video consultation, you can take £1 as a consultation fee, and then tell them, okay, you guys going to be a £20 or £50 no-show fee if you don't attend. That has worked really well, and that gives people an incentive to show up. And yeah, that's very important. So another thing is you got to do, in order to make sure people do show up, is build genuine rapport when you're on the phone with them, because people buy from people, and in the end, it's really like it's kind of like sales is kind of like a people thing. If you didn't build genuine rapport with that person, if you don't make them excited to show up on like a video consultation or whatever the treatment, you don't really listen to them, you just kind of pitch them, they might gonna change their mind, and that can happen a lot. So you need a good salespeople who really ask the correct questions and make people excited about coming. And obviously, good manners over the phone is gonna help you as well. Non-refundable deposit, we already kind of went over that. Make them excited, we went over that. And then, very important, reconfirmation calls. A lot of people are missing that part. You need to have a reconfirmation system in place. For our clients, we reconfirm people 24 hours prior to the call. We call them twice. If they don't respond, we'll call them twice again, same day of the appointment, to make sure they actually can make it. Because what you don't want is, like, when you ask them, hey, you have an appointment tomorrow at X time, will you still be able to make it? If they say, yeah, that should be fine, that's what you don't want. You want a definite yes, I will be able to make it. If we sense there's some hesitation, we suggest another time, and that saves a lot of your time, because we want 100% yes, people that are 100% committed. And if we sense that they might not be able to make it, we'd rather just pick another slot where we know for a fact they can make it. So this is exactly why we run for the 200 plus clinics that we work with across the UK and Ireland. That's basically the system. And obviously in this video, I'm just kind of like scratching the surface. But if you're interested in helping you implement that system, what I recommend is you head over to our website, ith-media.com, like that's this website over here, and you can book a call with someone from our team. This is going to be, don't worry, it's not going to be a pressuring call. We don't do pressure, okay? We're always very transparent as to what we can and can't do. So we're just going to ask you a couple questions, see if you're a good fit to work with us. If you are, we'll explain to you how that works, the fees and so on. And if you're not a good fit, it's fine either way. At least you know what we do, and you get some information. So thanks so much for your time, and hopefully I'll speak with you soon. Cheers.